First Take on a Wednesday out here in NYC. To my left, as always, one Max Kellerman. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Molly.
Stephen A. out there in Cali. How we feeling?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Well, good. You guys know where we're starting. The story of the NFL preseason so far has been who? Yeah, Antonio Brown. First his feet and now his helmet. Brown returned to the Raiders facility yesterday. He's awaiting the approval of his helmet. He says he found a version of his old helmet that had been manufactured in the past 10 years, and the next steps are getting it reconditioned and recertified. But even if he can get the helmet certified, it's unclear whether the NFL would sign off on it because the technology is outdated. The other problem? His feet.
A lot better, working towards 100%. It's been a process with the feet. Anytime, you got a lot of blisters and, it's hard to change direction, cut and run and be able to do what I do naturally. But I'm going to start from a good foot. I've been away getting a lot of work, so I'm excited to just move forward. I've been seeing a foot specialist, Marty. He's a good guy. I've been taking care of my feet. I've been doing all the rehab and procedures things to allow me to come back out here and do what I desire to do.
Stephen A., tell me this. Will AB be more of the problem or the solution for this Raider squad?
I think he's going to be more of a problem. That's just my personal opinion. And the reason I feel that way is because I don't think his talent is going to be enough for them to win. And as a result, he's going to have to find other means in order to keep himself relevant. Obviously, they're about to make a move to Las Vegas. We understand he's the star of the team. We understand he's an all-world receiver, and he's put up the likes of which we've rarely seen in NFL history. There is no question about that. But it's not just about his talent. Obviously, to him, it's about his brand. It's about his notoriety and what have you. It's not even just about the money. He's got $30 million in guaranteed dollars. But when you look at the Oakland Raiders, who were 4-12 last year, even though Derek Carr is a guy that's completed his highest completion percentage under John Gruden last year with about 68.9%, threw for over 4,000 yards, which was also a career best for him. He only threw about 19 touchdowns. He had about 10 interceptions, and it was relatively pedestrian compared to what we had grown to expect from him. You've got to wonder whether or not that chemistry is going to be developed, whether or not he and Antonio Brown are going to be able to vibe. And more importantly than that, you also have to look at the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs are better. The Los Angeles Chargers are better. The Denver Broncos, with the acquisition of Vic Fangio as their head coach, obviously a defensive-minded guy. Plus, you've got a serviceable quarterback at the very least in Joe Flacco. You've got to believe they've got a chance to be better than the Oakland Raiders. And so when you take all of those things into consideration, you're wondering what's going to happen to the Raiders in terms of wins and losses. The likelihood is that they'll lose more than they win. And if that happens, what will Antonio Brown be like then? I would remind you, Max Kellerman, last year when the Steelers started off slow and he was making a bunch of noise, what was his rationale for that? He said, man, I just want to win. I can't stand losing. And I'm paraphrasing here, not quoting him directly, but what he was saying is that when I'm not winning, I'm not happy, and all bets are off. And so unless we're expecting the Oakland Raiders to win, how can we expect anything great from Antonio Brown?
I don't expect them to win very much. I'll tell you someone who does, Louis Riddick, who was on this show predicting they'd make the playoffs, if memory serves, a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So there are those who think, credible sources who think, or people in the business who think, no, the Raiders are really, as you would say, Stephen A., on the come up. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But you know what? When you say, is a guy going to be more of a problem or more of a solution? I don't think you could just write off, you say, well, they're not going to make the playoffs, so he's just not part of the solution. Because he can still contribute to wins. In other words, with or without him, are you better or worse? With Antonio Brown, they're going to be better. Let me point to several receivers in the not-too-distant past who were all-world talents, putting up all-world numbers, and sometimes would create distractions off the field or otherwise be criticized by the media, taking plays off or getting into trouble off the field even. But when they were on teams, those teams got better. Well, I mean, Randy Moss comes to mind. Oh, Randy Moss takes plays off, except when he went to the Patriots, they went undefeated, right? Largely because they had an unstoppable offensive weapon in Randy Moss. Plexico Burress, Stephen A., first he wins the Super Bowl, then he literally shoots himself in the foot, and he's off the team, and the Giants failed to make a playoff run that they were anticipated to make. When you haven't, now those are playoff caliber teams. If the Raiders aren't playoff caliber, it's not going to be because of Antonio Brown. When I talk about Sharp Analytics, Warren Sharp, who I highly recommend on Twitter. I think he has the best stuff out there. But he had a graph, maybe going back a week or so, something like that, showing where Derek Carr likes to throw the ball is where Antonio Brown likes to catch it. when you have a guy putting up Jerry Rice numbers and he likes to catch it where the quarterback likes to throw it, and you want to find out about the quarterback, if the Raiders don't have a good season, it will not be because Antonio Brown. He will contribute to their winning once on the field.
Max Kellerman, let me throw the Oakland Raiders schedule at you, and I want and listen to everything that you just said. I have this schedule in front of me, Max Kellerman. Let me give you the first 7 games of the 2019 NFL season for the Oakland Raiders. Denver, Kansas City.
Hold this out.
At Minnesota, at Indy, Chicago, in London, Khalil Mack and the crew. Khalil Mack gets to face them for the first time.
But London, that kind of, that's a wild card.
Yeah. But Khalil Mack and that defense, Khalil Mack going against them for the first time. At Green Bay and at Houston. I mean, they might be 1-6. They might be 1-6.
I can see 2 or 3 wins in there.
Can I add to that, you guys? It's the toughest schedule based on strength of schedule, and Stephen A. just brought up the travel. They're traveling more than any other team, over 30,000 miles. That's more than the Bills, Giants, and Jets combined. John Gruden gets claustrophobic on planes and gets vertigo when he flies.
To Stephen A's point.
It can't get any worse from them from the schedule perspective, travel, or just the difficulty.
Yeah, to Stephen A's point, if you want to argue, Stephen A., that because they won't be winning a lot, Antonio Brown will be unhappy, it will exacerbate whatever personality problems that are on display now in the offseason or in training camp, and therefore he will be a detriment to the team. I think that's your strongest argument. That is
my argument.
But
that is my argument because I'm certainly not questioning anything about his greatness as a talent and as a wide receiver. My 2 things that I'm focusing on is exactly what you just eliminated. And number 2, Derek Carr is not Big Ben. And I think the combination of those 2 things can elevate the level of frustration and obviously could potentially quicken the whole process of a meltdown. And that is what I'm fearful of with Antonio Brown in an Oakland Raiders uniform.
And the Raiders are not as pass-happy as Pittsburgh, one of the most pass-happy teams. But I still think in order to really stand behind your argument, you have to be willing to say that the Raiders would be better without Antonio Brown. Then he's part of the problem. You think that they're going to be that they'd be better without him on the field?
No, because I'm not making the argument that they're better without him on the field because obviously he's an extremely talented player. He's arguably the best wide receiver in football.
What
I'm saying is that I don't believe that he ultimately will be part of the solution because I believe in spite of him, they're going to lose early. And as a result, he's going to be a problem late. That's what I'm saying.
I don't doubt that he could turn into a problem, particularly if they're losing. And given their schedule, it's unlikely they'll get off to a hot start. And I don't see them as a playoff team. But I am saying this. With Antonio Brown on the field, even if he causes distractions and has a meltdown and stuff, when he is on the field, they will be a better team than when he's off the field. So I cannot say he's part of the problem. Not yet.
Okay.
All right. Let's leave it on that note. When we come back here on First Take, Max, get ready for this. Giants ownership have spoken. What do they think will make up the ideal season? We'll get you the latest on that. First Take just getting started. Stick around. Stephen A.,
Plenty more to come on First Take. Should the Colts be worried about running out of luck this season? Plus, how excited should we be about Jay-Z's partnership with the National Football League? And did the Eagles get suckered into giving Carson Wentz